So as you can see from watching that interview, the Illuminati and the Vatican worked closely side by side, not only planning, but also funding the filming of the motion picture Angels and Demons. Now, if you were listening closely to what Leo Zagami had to say, you might be a little bit puzzled and have a couple of questions on your mind, and I definitely think that's reasonable, because that stuff was puzzling. You might have a couple of questions on your mind, such as, well, if all that stuff is really true, then tell me, why does the Vatican deem it necessary to put out a motion picture as some sort of propaganda? And if that's true, then tell me, why would the Illuminati be working conjointly with the Vatican to fund a propaganda movie for the Vatican? And if all that stuff is really true, then tell me this one. Why would a member of the Illuminati be exposing that the Illuminati helped fund a propaganda movie for the Vatican? Now, like I said earlier, those are definitely reasonable questions, and I have some definite, pointed, reasonable answers that go directly with each one of those questions. So we're going to tackle each one of those questions one by one and give each one of them their respective answer. Starting off with question number one. Now, why would the Vatican deem it necessary at this time to put out a propaganda movie such as Angels and Demons? The reason is, at this time, this organization called the Vatican, they have huge amounts of global political support. But what they don't have is a good moral image. Their moral image stinks on an international scale. As a result of the multiplicity of pedophile cases that just kept on springing up like zits on the face of a pubescent teenager all over the news throughout the course of the last few years, their public approval rating dropped sorely. And not only amongst the general public, but this is the consensus amongst their own parishioners. And with a movie like Angels and Demons, it's a gimmick to boost their approval rating amongst the public, to establish themselves on some sort of moral pillar, to make themselves look like a great moral authority, and also with this newfound superstar status, the parishioners of the Catholic Church will have a new pride instilled with them that they're a part of this superstar organization. You get the point here? Especially because in 2007, the Catholic Church reasserted its universal primacy as the only church in existence, that they are the only true church, and that there are no other churches that can actually call themselves true churches. And then, a few months after they made that statement, another official statement came directly out of the Vatican, saying that the royal pontiff, he calls himself the royal pontiff, but the holy pontiff, the holy see, the Pope himself, is a universal, moral, sovereign authority that has a right to have a hand in all diplomatic international relations. And this movie is to help brainwash you to believe that the Pope and the Vatican are a moral, sovereign authority, and they should have a right to rule in my life too. You get the point here? And please, don't think it's beneath the Vatican to put out propaganda, because the Vatican is the originators of the very phrase propaganda itself. They're the ones who produced propaganda in the first place. In the year 1622, Pope Gregory XV set up the College of Propaganda. They have a Latin phrase for that, but I'm not Latin. I don't speak Latin, so I'm not going to try to do it. But he set up the College of Propaganda, which was 13 cardinals who had the responsibility of establishing foreign missions. This idea came about as a result of one of Pope Gregory's accountants coming to him and telling him, listen, it's cheaper for us to teach the people to respect us and to accept us as their sovereigns than for us to force them with physical might. Listen, it'll take longer to teach them, but once their minds are converted, their bodies will follow. So, the same way they established themselves in different areas back during the Dark Ages as a new sovereign authority, in this time, they're using propaganda to establish themselves in our minds as a new sovereign moral authority. That's your answer to question number one.